Welcome to the second part of the third hour of the night of the Egyptian AM-TUAT. And we are at this area here. And we begin at this point here. And we pick this up in chapter 9, verse 22. And Samuel took Saul and his servant. And here we find AM-TUAT and his servant Bes, who becomes Saul and his servant, and brought them into the parlour, and made them sit in the chiefest place among them. And they were bidden, which were about 30 persons. So they are brought into chiefest place, and here we find the four forms of Osiris seated, this being the chiefest place, and these three here being the 30 persons, 10, 20, 30. Now we move along the lower register. And we come to this point here. And we find the god Sepashat, who holds a sword in his hand. Verse 23 of chapter 9 of Samuel. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I give thee, or which I said unto thee, set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold that which is left, set it before thee, and eat. For until this time have it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. And the people is represented by this goddess here, Mashiach. And so Saul did eat with Samuel that day. And here we find 5 goose-headed beings, and they hold a slaughtering knife each. So what they did eat that day is referenced here by the goose. So they did eat goose. Now we come to the end of the lower register, in this area here. And here we find the god Kemu, ram-headed, a bearded male figure called Netu, with hands raised in adoration, and 4 forms of Osiris, which we met before. So we pick up this area here, and we begin here at the god Netta. Verse 1, chapter 10 of Samuel. Then Samuel took a vial of oil, represented here by Netta, and put it upon his head, here one of the forms of Osiris, and kissed him, and said, Is it not because the Lord hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? And here we have captain here in the form of the god Kemu. So we have finished the lower register, and the listener can get a general gist of how the scriptures are actually constructed upon. On the surface of the book of Samuel, it appears to be a product of an oral tradition. But as this work has revealed, it's clearly based on the AM-TUAT of Egypt. We must ask this question. When Judaism says that we do not follow the gods of other nations, but secretly has at its very core scriptures based on the paganism of Egypt, do we not have a charge of hypocrisy? Was it not an oath made by Israel to keep the promise of the law, never to return to the gods of Egypt, and to enter into the covenant with God, an oath that bequeathed blessings if the law was kept, and a curse if it was broke? The infiltration of Egyptian gods in the Bible could only have come about by scribes working on behalf of a priesthood, following a political and commercial agenda, who sought a human government instead of a spiritual kingdom. As we see today in Israel, all the rabbis serving themselves, unaware that the violation of the law continues under them, the covenant breakers. And we find in the Mishnah Torah, Helkus Melachim 11:4, it reads, if a king arises from the house of David, who learns Torah, occupies himself with mitzvahs, as prescribed by the written and oral law, as David his ancestor did, compels all Israel to walk in the ways of the Torah, and reinforces its breaches and fights God's wars, he is presumably Mashiach. If he has done all of this and succeeded, and has built the temple in its place and gathered the dispersed of Israel, he is definitely Mashiach. The law will judge him that lives by the law. Any rabbi that teaches the Torah without purging all its pagan gods can never be the Mashiach. And as we read in Isaiah chapter 30, verses 1 to 3 and 8 to 9. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be to your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come, forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord.